count is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition.
So the Eagles coming to town. The last time they were here on a Friday night, they played the thriller with the Bombers. Started the season with 6 consecutive wins. They've been in the top 4 for 14 of the 16 weeks, but they're out of it. After winning last week against the Swans, they dropped back on percentage to 5th spot. So they would be eyeing top 2 or top 4 for the end of this home and away season. And the Doggies, well, Tim, their season could be unravelling. Big injuries coming left, right and centre.
It's really cooling them at the moment. Scotty West out of that side. Just going through some of the players missing tonight. Cross, Hahn, Gilby, Griffin, Grant, West, all in their starting 22. We see Scotty West there on screen alongside Brett Montgomery. And they will miss his hardness and also his direction that he provides for the other players in the middle of the ground.
The Eagles, well, Cousins, the big story coming back last week. Everyone that came back played well last week. Stenglein, Staker was terrific, Hansen was terrific, and Kerr picked up.
That's a tail. Yeah, it is.
Couple of superstars there, Judd and Johnson.
That was funny, the lady there with the Bulldog scarf just calling it, just to make sure that the actual Bulldogs won that toss.
So let's go down to Ricky Olorenshaw. Rick, we've got some first gamers tonight. It must be a big thrill, isn't it, to play your first one?
Oh, it's always a big thrill, Bruce, to play your first game. It seems like, yes, I just played mine, but we've got 3 debutants tonight, 2 over the Western Bulldogs. We've got Stephen Tiller playing his first game. He got handed his jumper by Brad Johnson just before the game. He wearing number 35, made famous by Terry Wheeler, who was my favourite player as a kid, and Josh Hill, who came in for Scotty West. He got his jumper handed to by Gene Siracusa. He'll be wearing number 31, who was made famous by Brownlow Mills, Calvin Templeton. But over at the West Coast Eagles, they've also got a debutant tonight, Will Schofield, who was drafted last year from Geelong Collies. So all his family and friends have made a trip down the high tonight. All very excited, so best of luck to those 3 boys.
Thanks for that, Ricky. Black armbands for the Bulldogs tonight. Adam Cooney's grandfather passed away earlier in the week, and Adam himself's had a tough day, hasn't he?
He has, Bruce. He's been crooked this afternoon. He's had a bit of a virus. He's been on an IV drip as well. They're just trying to get the fluids and a bit more energy into his system, so it's going to be an enormous night for him.
Hill and Tiller in. Interesting combo. Dome looks a treat. I'm betting it will be slippery. Pretty cold outside. Some rain this afternoon. Skipper up forward. And there's young Tiller operating out of a forward pocket. They expect him perhaps to be the wild card. They're hoping that. You heard from the selection committee, the match committee, the fact that he could get down there unknown to the opposition and maybe snare an early goal. The umpires tonight, McBurney, Woodcock and Jeffrey. Ben Cousins, outstanding last week. Already 1 clearance before we go. Friday night football. Darcy and Cox. Cox marginally. Judd went to ground. Kerr. This will be the problem for the Dogs tonight. The hard ball in and under. You wonder with no West and no Cross how that can be done. Kerr, Judd out of the middle. Goes towards half forward. Cox from behind. A fly got a fist on it. Knocks it inside the forward 50. Dogs defending. Everett went to ground. Cox tried to get a Lacroix. He's got it now. McMahon took him down. Hargrave, the West Australian, out of defence to the outer side wing. Johnson bounced off his chest, came back to him. Too much pace for Glass. Yes, lays it off his power. Normally a long kick. Centering ball. Skipper lost his footing. Knocked away by Hunter. Skipper back into the fray. Taken down by Hunter. And that ball has released, at least momentarily, and the ball up.
Ball's pinned underneath.
So Woodcock, Jeffrey, McBurney, Derek Scott and Stephen, our umpires tonight. Such a vital game in terms of both clubs, where they'll finish this home and away season in 6 weeks' time. Bulldogs sitting on their own with 9 wins. Skipper's had a couple of early touches. Darcy to Murphy. They still haven't been able to get really clear. Harbrow, and then Harbrow's neat kick out wide. John Siracusa with a bit of magic.
That was the most exquisite kick you'll ever see directed to a forward there. That was just a magnificent kick here by Harbrow. Just watch this. Just kicked the ball over the top of Gene Syracuse's shoulder into the space behind him. That's beautiful touch.
8 goals won from set shots this year. Well, we saw Geelong kick an early goal when they steamrolled the Dogs last week. We thought that might be significant. Felt tonight the Dogs needed a fast start. This is their chance to get the first goal. He's been accurate all year. He's a class player. He's straight in front, and the Doggies are on the board with 6 points.
Well, this is the area of the game that they're going to have to be hard and tough. It was a contested situation. They won the ball from there. Harbrow, with speed, was able to get a little bit of space just so that he could pop the kick over the shoulder there. Set up there by Murphy. This is the young bloke just taking the game on, and that's a magnificent kick over the shoulder there.
John Syracuse, a quiet night last Friday against the Cats, and the coach would be delighted with that start. The kick was centimetre perfect. Back in the middle, Darcy decisively. Cooney, Boyd out of the middle. Wonderful game last week in a losing cause. Jones was being held. Will get the free.
Brad Johnson's going to push up the ground and drag Glass with him. He's picking up Brad Johnson. Tiller and Skipper will be the leading players out of the goal square for the Bulldogs.
Jones to Kerr. Kerr drives it towards the wing. Hansen, good return last week. Looks down towards the attacking 50. Lacroix coming up. Judd, wonderful courage, wonderful balance. Found it on the ground. Gets a hand pass away. Staker in desperate trouble, taken down. Kerr hurriedly onto the boot towards full forward. Lynch an awkward half volley. Selwood slips it away. Hearn equals the score.
Hearn's followed his man Ackermanis all the way down the ground. Ackermanis just trying to create some space in the Bulldog forward line. There's a tackle by Acker, but they still were able to keep the ball alive. Lynch pushing hard to the contest, and Hearn, who had followed Acker down the ground, just finishing off. And that's where they're really going to have to be hard and tough. They've got to work in low. They've got to be able to get their bodies in behind the ball. The Western Bulldogs, they look a lot smaller out there on the ground than the West Coast Eagles.
He's had a terrific year, Hearn. That's the 10th time this season he's kicked a goal in a match. Yet to kick multiple goals, but he's got the first tonight. He's been a dashing halfback flanker, been prepared to go forward. Cox won it very comfortably. Stenglein went forward in the tackle. Power, Stenglein the battle. Ackermanis' hip and shoulder on Embley. Hearn was good again to Cousins. To Selwood. That wasn't a roar for Cousins, it was a bit of a boo. Embley's kick inside, good to Hansen, who's given Williams the slip for the second time.
He pushes up hard to the ball. He meets the ball really hard, but they're able to win the ball again and share it by hand. They average more handballs than any other side in the competition. 180 a game, the West Coast Eagles, and you really have to be able to shut them down around the stoppages.
Well, he's the money man, isn't he? He's the man that the statisticians love, because when he plays, they normally win. They've got this great record over the last 3-4 years. Didn't lose a match when he played last year. All his big scores have been at Subi. Played a great game in the grand final. 49 metres out. Does he deliver? He does.
The runner will go out now to Williams. He's only a young player. He is inexperienced, and he'll be told just to concentrate. And the fact that the West Coast Eagles will look for Hansen. He can't allow himself just to give a metre or two to Hansen, or drift off, or believe that he can become a zone player. They will honour the lead of Hansen, and Hansen will move all the way up the ground to present to the players carrying and running with the ball.
Margin 6 points. His dad, a famous broadcaster in Victoria, in fact nationally, Clark Hansen, making a name for himself across half forward. Not Clark. Hacked out of midair by Stenglein. Inside the forward 50, Cousins was up. Arriving quickly was Kerr. We've got a whistle, and it's going to be a Bulldog free.
52.
Umpire Woodcock making the call.
Those, you've already seen those centre clearances are going to be critical for the Western Bulldogs tonight. The momentum that the West Coast Eagles generate from that passage of play there enabled Cousins to have that shot on goal.
Yeah, it's hard to see who can get the hard ball in close for the Bulldogs. Everett combines there with Morris. Morris runs it forward of centre, kicks inside the forward 50. Jan Siracusa again, just slipping away, takes the mark right on the 50.
He's a clever player. They've got Jan Siracusa, Ackermanis, Johnson all in their forward line, and Murphy, 4 really clever one-on-one players.
That was interesting. Team physio out to Ben Cousins. From the 50, Jan Siracusa misses to the near side. I wonder what that means. Cousins still having plenty to say. Hearn brings it in, goes short, finds Cox.
And back to Hearn. Just pushed off it by Murphy. Hanson again, ridden into the ground. Play on call, Braun, well done. To Hearn. Now it's going to come back to Braun, I think.
Gee, I'd love to see how Hanson got rid of the ball then, because his arm was locked down by Williams. It was a terrific tackle.
Go behind your mark, Michael! Bring it back!
So back to Braun.
Come behind it this time, please, Michael. That's it, you're right.
So all systems go now. Judd provides a lead out wide. Cox in front of him. Cox terrific last week. Had some injuries early in the year, but running into top form. Sets it up at centre half forward. It was an awkward kick, but Kerr, right man in the right spot.
Right here. Got it, Daniel?
Not a huge goal kicker, Kerr. He basically kicks 1 goal every 2 games through his career.
Is that tackle by Hargrave? Well, that's definitely dropping the ball.
And Kerr short. And this man can kick a goal. Quinton Lynch. 6 against the Doggies in the final last year. Glove comes off. Gets the reaction.
Mark's here.
Kicked 21 goals in the first 13 matches last year and 44 in the second 13.
20 seconds
So had a terrific finish to the year. 65 goals all up. He's on 28 so far this season, and he's pushed that. He's kicked it a country mile, and it's a behind.
Not his best effort. His best effort against the Bulldogs in terms of kicking straight. 6 goals in the first semi-final last season. 26 behinds this year for Lynch from set shots. Harris in the back pocket. Little nod of the head. Goes to Hargrave in the goal square. Bulldogs come to our broadcast site. Gee, they needed to be precise. McMahon took the mark just as well. Lays it off. Pushing up the ground, Morris sold a teammate Power into trouble. Untidy hand pass stolen by Braun to Judd. Judd pulls it back towards the middle. What a wonderful kick. On a scale of 1 to 10, that was an 11.
That was magnificent vision then. But the Western Bulldogs, they're going to try to run the ball from deep in defence as often as they possibly can. They've just got to make sure that they hit their targets, because this is what will happen to them if there's a turnover.
Good spot to kick from, directly in front, 35 metres out. They lead by 6. Andrew Embley straight through the middle. Margin is out to 12.
Well, as long as the Western Bulldogs don't lose their confidence in attacking and trying to complete their game plan, the ball came unstuck, then the turnover, and the West Coast Eagles just handled the ball too well. And Chris Judd, that was just a magnificent kick. Great vision from him as well. Just to spot up Embley in space. And that would have really tested out his groin. All the key West Coast Eagles players have already had a couple of touches of the footy, which is a dangerous sign.
Embley with a goal. Rick, how's Ben Cousins?
Yeah, well, I've been keeping a close eye on him at the start of this game. He does look a little bit proper. He keeps stretching out that left hamstring. He has that done a few times and has spoken to the physio. The other thing at ground level I've noticed too is the clashing jumpers. They look very similar. Both West Coast and the Bulldogs are wearing the royal blue tonight, and I just found out the West Coast actually bought the wrong jumpers over.
Gee, that's interesting. Boyd from the centre. Good kick to Acker.
You don't see a better bit of tap ruck work than Luke Darcy just exhibited then, though. Magnificent movement out of the centre to Boyd.
Well, all these are important kicks, aren't they? Because you feel that they've got to take their chances tonight, the doggies. Jan Syracuse got the first, Acker's got their second, they're within touch.
He's been in pretty good form the last 3 weeks too, Acker. I like to look at their forward line if they can get the ball in there quickly enough. He's coming from the ground. He'll be replaced by Eagleton. But I like their 4 smalls. They've got Brad Johnson down there. They've got Murphy. They've got Jan Syracuse. They had Acker, who was there, all capable of actually marking the ball over their head too. So they're going to draw different opponents in that back line as the West Coast Eagles try and get the right matchup. And they're going to keep them guessing now. Cooney's gone to full forward too.
Ackermanis off the ground, and by a strange quirk of injury and form, he didn't play against the West Coast Eagles until he was a veteran of 33 games and promptly kicked 6 goals for Brisbane. On the way down, Cox missed it. Darcy didn't. Went looking for Eagleton. Eagleton butters up again, and that ball is locked in. So a bounce. Nice
Darcy.
Mix on the bench.
Darcy just calling skipper to this. He'll try and be the 3rd man up, I think.
And he was. Well called, Tim. Taken though by Hunter, who came with him. Kicks it down towards right half forward. This will be interesting. Judd in front of Morris. Morris played it well, so too Judd. Got it back to Braun. Stemmed line. Kicks inside the forward 50. Tailor-made for Darcy. Hands to it. Couldn't hang on. Ball's in front. Well, Judd used his teammate Braun. Bounced off him. Kicks across towards half forward, and Cox getting back down there was Skipper to knock it away. Sliding in Lacrosse, some body work done. Eagleton brilliantly from the ground. Got it to Skipper, to Everett. Taken now by Power. Harbrow sold into trouble. Kerr took him down. Loose ball. Power did well. Gave it back to Skipper. Skipper penetrating kick inside the forward 50. Waters read it nicely off hands. Braun, stemmed line, pushing up the ground. Little chip. Over the top, Selwood, yes. This is Hunter, 70 metres out. Too short, intended for Lynch, falling to the ground. Heard the voice, Cousins, surrounded, roundly booed. Opportunity for Eagleton, slips it away. Hargrave to the outer side, Jan Syracuse in front. He'll get the free kick.
Under the floor, pushed him under. Pushed him under the floor to the footy. Your arm.
There's a free kick. A nudge underneath the ball.
Short to Tiller. So one of 2 debutants tonight for the Bulldogs. Schofield, the other one for the Eagles. Kerr's handball brilliant to Lynch, who just takes Everett on. He's a chance from here, but he's hooked it badly. Staker. He's got a good pair of hands, hasn't he? Took a sensational mark last week that was overshadowed by Newton's effort here on the Sunday, and Staker hooks and misses. So they've missed 2 or 3, I would have thought. Lynch particularly, Staker then.
And the runner will go out to Everett too. He's just got to do better than what he did then in trying to apply a tackle. Here's Skipper. He's pushed up the ground, just going back in front of Cox. That was really courageous stuff. He's been good in the early part of this game too, Skipper, pushing up the ground.
Dogs making heavy weather of bringing it out, but they eventually get it onto the chest of Everett and goes across the ground. Boyd enjoying a wonderful season, comes to Power, long kicking left footer through midfield, goes looking for Johnson under the football. This is an interesting call.
Right arm.
Not sure about that one, but the umpire in perfect position. So he's not calling it for a push, he's saying he was holding on. And I think that's right.
That's right.
So Jono. In he comes. Likes it off the boots. Misses to the left-hand side. Wipes the smile from his face, which is hard to do.
Be disappointed. Cousins, good mark.
Darcy's just come off the ground. Ackermanis has replaced him, so the Western Bulldogs will be looking to try and get a mismatch out there somewhere.
Gee, what a contrast from one week to the other. Cousins being booed everywhere here.
Just imagine had it been Collingwood or Essendon.
With a full house. It's a good crowd. It'll be well over 30,000. It was a remarkable performance by him last week, Everett.
Over the shoulder.
wins the free kick. Third man in is going to be a lot for the Dogs tonight, isn't it?
That's their obvious game plan tonight, as many times as they can to get that third man up.
And Gilby's their specialist at that, and he's one of their many injuries, isn't he? Not playing tonight.
And he's kicking off half-back more than that too.
So Eagleton gets it from Everett. We've got to be precise here. That wasn't 15. Then Boyd back to Eagleton. Eagleton now some pressure. Ray's handball okay. Releases Boyd. Boyd gets Acker again. Now he's good enough to kick this Acker. Dennis mentioned the 6. Well, the Eagles is the one club that he's actually kicked more than 5 or more on more than one occasion. He's got a 5 and a 6 against them. He got a famous 5 against Collingwood, didn't he, in an MCG Grand Final? Now he could kick this. He's got the skill. He's 50 metres out. It won't be a goal. It's right there. Punch down. Didn't really get it away, the Eagles. So Johnson misses a real gettable. Acker misses a 50-50. And it's a 5-point game.
Chick drives it outside 50. Rowan Jones was up. Didn't mark it. Controls it on the ground, feeds it back. Waters in desperate trouble. Back to Rowan Jones at close quarters. Braun slips it away. Stengline, look away hand pass. Kerr goes down. Good pressure from the first gamer. Hill took him to ground. Down goes Farron Ray, stolen away by Chick. Braun looking for a way through. Delays the hand pass. Cousins, quick hand pass. They didn't have time to boo. Kerr's away. Couple of bounces. Runs beyond the wing. Sees Staker. And Staker's marked 40 metres out. And I don't think, yes, it was Staker. I don't think distance will be a problem. That lady knows her players. A lot of Eagle supporters on the plane coming across today. Travel best when they think they'll win. Staker. Played well last week. Worked hard. From 50. Good looking effort. It's a goal. Well done.
The Western Bulldogs may have programmed Williams just too well during their briefing earlier this week. They talked about the West Coast Eagles kicking in straight lines. He expected this kick to actually go down the line. Just watch this. He's come off his man there. There's number 12, expecting the ball to go down the line. And that was just a terrific bit of spotting by Kerr, just to turn his eyes back inside there and hit Staker with that pass. He's got to learn from that. The next time the ball goes forward, he's got to stick with his man.
3 last week against the Swans, 3 against the Bombers. Staker to Ben Cousins on the boundary line. So 4 goals to 2.
I don't think he should work alone. Oh, well, he's not now. That's okay.
That plane trip, Dennis, did you have to be there to get that cryptic message? John Syracuse out of the centre. Glass almost. Well done, Hearn. Sweeps it to Kerr, who's been brilliant early, as he so often is. Waters to Kerr. He's the ball carrier tonight, yet again. That one too far for Staker. Harris, well, he takes Staker on, and that, in Dennis's famous words, was ambitious.
And lucky.
So the explanation from the umpire, everybody pretty happy about that. Seaby did very, very well. Kerr's little kick didn't go far. Ball out to Lacroix. Little toe poke forward. Williams was held up. Embley held up. Brent Jones down there. Murphy will be happy to see it roll over the line in the pocket. So the Dogs have been conceding some big scores, about 7 goals a quarter in the last 5 opening terms, and right now the Doggies have got 4 against them.
0.6. Behind it, Stengline taken down. There's a clash of the Blues.
The Bulldogs
to tell who's who.
Really look to be concerned about the power around the stoppages of the West Coast Eagles. They've sent as many numbers as they possibly can to crowd this stoppage again. The West Coast Eagles will just try and open it up.
About 25 metres out from goal. Morris and Judd running in the opposite direction. Well, Boyd does it again. He's their best chance close in. Kicks it up towards the wing. Glass, a resolute defender, just takes it to the line.
Nice and open down the Dogs forward line at the moment. Ackermanis and Chick, the only 2 inside their 50.
Boundary throw in. CB works in front, gets a fist on it, and that's a free kick.
Straight Keep it clear. Keep it clear.
Just asking Daniel Kerr, who's on the interchange, to keep away. So Cameron White, short to Murphy. They've been prepared to go short, haven't they?
That was the right kick then. They just had to retain possession of the ball and set themselves up deeper down in their forward line.
Darcy, now they're trying to work some space here. Ackermanis is one out about 60 metres away. Hearn's going to fill the gap. Darcy goes shorter. Harbrow works for him, gets him. He's one of 5 first-year players out there for the Dogs tonight.
This is the important kick, this one.
And it's missed the target. Glass getting back. And West Coast might be able to set up here. Hearn's been busy early. Waters. Embley's hands pretty good. Cooney to cut it off. Well done. Powers handball good. Hargrave. Goal. No. Just missing. It looked home in the run.
Hargrave keeps bobbing up. We saw him last week. Got a belated goal. Embley comes away. Braun short of the wing. Just get the feeling the West Coast Eagles are feeling the energy and they're liking what they see from their opponents. Big test for the Dogs tonight. There goes the kick from Hansen inside the forward 50. Oh, well done, McMahon. Reaching over the top, angles the fist out of bounds. Boundary throw in right on the 50. Skipper, after some good minutes, sits down. John Siracusa on the left got the opening goal. Seaby cleverly into the path of Priddis. Still Priddis. Stengline. Cousins. Hard to pin on his knees. The hand pass stolen. Cooney through midfield. Turns the defence around. Everyone is running back. Jones missed it. So did Ackermanis. He missed him. Check. Priddis is at half back with some time. Ackermanis worked hard. Almost got to him. This is Selwood. Short to the wing and Seaby.
So Cox's understudy, and what a good understudy he's proven to be. Lovely mark taken by Staker, who started very well. That one touched off the boot. Lynch, awkward ball. Lacroix, clever, gets himself into a goal-kicking position. Can't quite bring it back. Kick 5 against Richmond late last year. 4 against Brisbane this year and 3 against Hawthorn. So he's a goal kicker. Boyd's been terrific early in this match, as he has been for quite a while now. A 4th bounce and then runs it past centre wing.
8th possession for Boyd inside the forward 50. Now we've got a whistle off the ball and it's going to be a free kick to Daniel Chick.
Ran himself into trouble then, Boyd. Just carried the ball too far.
Cousins, 5 possessions, and again the crowd getting involved. What Cousins did last week, and we touched on it during our Sunday game, quite remarkable. In fact, oh, that's terrific.
Great
Morris coming up with great courage. Got there hard and knocked it across the line. We talked about Cousins and just how good it was. And I think we said up there with JR's comeback in Dallas. It really was something. Morris. Boyd, Ackermanis goes across the ground. Everett let it bounce. Almost the meat in the sandwich. Higgins has got a problem. Surrounded. The 2 youngsters, can they work it out? Everett taken down by Rowan Jones. Now a chance for Waters. Did he have the football? Well done, Harris. That was a great crunching tackle. Everett, Higgins. So the youngsters prevail. Ray, 55 metres out. Bacon square. Getting back is Embley. Well, he got a kind bounce. It virtually came up and hit him.
That would have been a magnificent team goal, wouldn't it? They really worked hard there, and the youngsters involved, Higgins and Everett early. Selwood gets it in short.
It was great play at half-back just to win the ball back by the Bulldogs, and that's what they've got to do. They're trying to run off half-back and create and get the ball in there quickly to a pretty open forward line. The West Coast Eagles players are following the forwards up the ground, so there's plenty of space to operate in their forward line when they get there. Stengline
to Kerr. That's Kerr's 11th disposal in the opening term. That wasn't a good one. Power misses Everett, but he'll get back. It's just his 4th game, Everett. There's so much to like about him. Eagleton. Everett was brilliant. Not such a good kick. Down low, Acker. Run down. Was it in the back or was it holding the ball? Or was it holding the ball?
Back here, please, Stephen.
So Tiller just slow, wasn't he?
it was an instinctive handball by Ackermanis that actually put him under a bit of pressure too.
Thought Everett's play was just terrific. Lynch bombs it.
What a power kick, and what a wonderful mark at the back by Harris.
Silly
South
kick really
Australia.
to a 4-on-1.
Well, it was a wonderful mark. Eagleton, John Siracusa, Dogs with the numbers on the broadcast side. They trail by 10 points. Across the ground he goes, releasing Higgins. Thought about Ray, used as a decoy. Goes inside the forward 50, loose at the back. Has Hill got the pace? Soccer's off the ground, wide of the mark. Leading the race now is Chick, and Chick Soccer's it out of bounds. Asking himself the question, why?
30 seconds, Max, here.
Too much on it. Across the line.
Bulldogs' intention's really clear too. They're going to attack the corridor at every opportunity when they go forward.
I'm sure the answer somewhere in there is get to the other side. Knocked down. Hunter did well. They're combining well back here, the West Coast Eagles. This is Pritis. Not much on. Needs to be precise and wise. Seaby to the outer side wing. Clock is down to 45 seconds. Rowan Jones has got the run of it. White did well. Wonderful tackle. Affected the kick. Morris running out of space. Back comes Cousins. Clock to 35 seconds. Kerr around the outer side. Eagles lead it by 10, and Staker with a chance to increase the margin right on quarter time.
How good's Kerr been in this first quarter? He's had 12 touches already. He's the midfielder that's really getting free and doing the damage by hand and by foot. Smart play by Cousins.
Aren't we seeing that a lot this season? Certain players just blowing quarters apart, particularly the first quarter, indicating perhaps the matchup's not quite right and players relishing the freedom. Tonight, Daniel Kerr. Staker's already got one. He'll kick after this siren. A test for the young man. Steps in, good-looking effort. Misses. Behind.
Play the whistle, Jack.
Margin is 11 points. Terrific opening term. West Coast Eagles 4-4. The Bulldogs are 2-5. This is Friday Night Football.
Bulldogs have won just 4 opening terms this year. It's the worst record in the AFL, and they're behind again tonight, 2-5 to 4-4. So 11-point margin. Let's go back into the inner sanctum of the Bulldogs.
You're definitely right, Bondi. I think Jordan McMahon definitely has to go into the midfield. You just need to use him. I reckon Everett starts. I reckon Whitey goes to an Embley or something like that.
Goes to win?
To Embley.
With Sam as a backup.
I'd start Sammy on him. Sammy's got the history on him, and use Whitey as the backup.
Well, Kerr must be on their minds right now, Ox.
He's been getting plenty of the football, but Sammy Power, he got the big job on Embley, and he had 6 touches. Embley only had the 3. Leon Cameron's comments in relation to Andres Everett to start. Well, what a good move that was. 10 touches for him. All of them on fire early, but gee, it's Daniel Kerr who's getting his hands on the footy, and they'll be looking at stopping him in this quarter.
So Kerr starting in the opening term. We see him with Judd there as we go down to Ricky. How have you seen Judd and Cousins?
Yeah, I watched both of those plays very closely, Bruce. On Ben Cousins last week, he was only expected to play the 80 minutes. He ended up playing 103, so he did pull up very sore from that game. He's only had the 6-day break, so I've been watching closely. He does look a little bit restricted in his movements, and he does continually stretch that left hamstring. He did speak to the physio at quarter time. Chris Judd, he started in the centre, then moves forward, and again, he keeps pushing the bottom of his abdominals. It's maybe a one area concern. The club has said he doesn't have OP. He keeps pushing the bottom of his abdominals, which could be a sign he may have a hernia.
Chris Judd, 5 possessions in the opening term. I wouldn't be surprised if it was an ankle for Ben Cousins. The way he landed on that left foot, it seemed to turn. 4-4-2-5. Interesting first term. The West Coast Eagles, 4 goal kickers. And likewise 2 singles for the Bulldogs. John Siracusa got the opening goal. There's Cousins. Last week started on the bench, but his first possession after 7.5 minutes of the game, and went on to get another 37. Second term at the Dome. Darcy up very high, hooks it down. Stenglein, Judd dragged down. Well done by Boyd. Affected the kick. Taken by Cousins. Slips a hand pass away. Braun comes back to Stenglein. Short one back to Braun. Not 15. Braun lays it off. Can Judd get through? The acceleration not quite there. Neither the tackle. He kicks down towards the pocket. Touched by Lynch and across the boundary line. Now Judd at his best would have been through. That time couldn't quite make it.
Must be frustrating for him. Still contributing in a positive way. Kerr caught by Morris. He's got big roles tonight. He's running with Cousins for a lot of the night. Harbrow's kick straight back to Braun, who's starting to get busy. Embley provides a really strong hard lead at him. Braun goes long. Stenglein's the target, and he just slipped Harbrow.
That's a mismatch too. Harbrow is matched up against Stenglein in the midfield, and what he would have seen obviously is that he's got a distinct height advantage there, and that's where the ball was aimed to that matchup. And that's clever play by the West Coast Eagles.
Just a couple of goals this season. Didn't play rounds 13 through to 15. Back last week was really good. He is a key player in this West Coast lineup, and that is a big miss, and not the first for the Eagles tonight. Lynch, Staker, Stenglein all missing gettables, though at the other end the Bulldogs have missed a couple as well.
I think you described that last contest as a pro-am. I mean, Harbrow's got to work harder. Just jogged back after Stenglein shook him, and the ball was in the air for a long time. Oh, that's dangerous. Hargrave concedes a behind, just stepping across the line with the half volley. Now comes up the middle. McMahon's got it. Margin 13 points. Early going second term. Friday night football. Power, who can kick it a long way, is off again. Goes down towards half forward. Johnson, rarely sighted so far. Jones gets back, plays it in front. Brilliantly done, Johnson. Cleared a path for himself. Hand pass untidy initially. Missed by Darcy. Harbrow goes back to Johnson. Wonderful evasion. Kearney went to ground when there was no need. Selwood has him now. Johnson once more. Out of mid-air. He's very adroit at doing that. Cox tracks it back towards the boundary. Ample time for the big guy. Gets a hand pass away. Waters. Stenglein. Thumps it forward from half-back. Embley missed the ball completely. At the back was Hargrave. Sold into trouble out there. Power. Judd brilliantly done. Heard the voice. Embley quickly on. Lynch swings it across the body. Caught the goal umpire out. He couldn't believe they could get that angle on the ball. It's a goal. Kill the Mo.
They don't always go where he wants them to, but he has got one of the most powerful legs in the competition. They just couldn't clear the ball here. Good pressure by Judd, and then to follow up and create that opportunity. Embley's smart always with the ball, and that is just a massive snap there by Lynch.
It's a big kick. Well, Harris must be shaking his head and saying, I got into the right spot. 100 metres from goal on a tight angle.
You just wouldn't expect the ball to go through from that angle on a snap like that.
Unfortunately, it was the captain that messed the doggies up there. Johnson.
Away.
He just made a meal of it at half forward. Boyd can't quite get it through. Kerr. So danger signs for the Dogs here. They need the next goal. Selwood got it from Jones. Judd in heavy traffic doing well. Hanson, Selwood to Kerr, who gets through and then takes them on, and then from 50 goes for goal. Ooh. Well, he's playing some game, Kerr, isn't he?
That's when they're at their absolute best, though, the West Coast Eagles, when they run in waves like that, sharing the ball by hand. They're so powerful.
Daniel Kerr coming off 31 possessions last week. Last 5 scoring shots in the game. Make that 6, because he'll get the distance to the West Coast Eagles. So far, 1-4 in those last 5 scoring shots. This is a question of accuracy. Got the hard one. Will he miss the easy one? It's always an adventure. Not an adventure he's enjoying at the present time. Rodney Eade. Quinton Lynch then. Such a powerful kick. Such an accurate kick. Over the goal umpire's hat.
Saw that shot of Rodney Eade a moment ago, and that look of exasperation, and he knows how difficult this game will be to win tonight, and they just can't afford to make errors like that. The West Coast Eagles have set themselves up really well for the point kick-ins, and it has been difficult for the Bulldogs to clear that space in the early part of this game tonight, but they've just got to be better by foot than what McMahon was on that occasion.
Consecutive goals to Lynch, so no inside 50s for the Doggies in this term. And the Eagles have slipped them here out to a 4-goal game. Darcy went very early. Cox to Cousins, just overran it. Boyd, who was very, very good in the opening term. Ray, not good. Cooney, Higgins, they're conceding though. Hargrave, fantastic smother coming from Waters. Selwood getting it from Jones, round the corner. Embley being held on to, deep in the pocket, goes back. Cox, or rather Lynch, hooks back to the goal square. Almost Jones, not quite. Dogs under siege here. They'll get a free.
Yeah, no, just over his back and the high tackle. No, it's got to be a bit careful. Stay there, Adam, stay there.
Well, that's relief, I think, for everybody. The Dogs right now. Cooney to get it in the back pocket.
And this is just playing in the West Coast Eagles' hands here. When they slow the Bulldogs down like this, the game's being played on their terms. Now it's going to start to open up if they can run hard enough into the space.
Harris got it from Hargrave, goes to the outer side. Williams, time to recover. Liked his game last week against the odds. Back to Harris. 26 points the margin. Power for distance to the outer side. Farron Ray running out of space close to the boundary line, claims it. Back to the middle. McMahon. And the West Coast Eagles doing a very good job of clogging it up. Something the match committee talked about for the Western Bulldogs. If they shuffle back, just take their time in getting back, but they get back with great discipline. Here's Williams. Little chip pass Murphy. That's better. But a lot of blue up ahead. Chips inside the 50. That's ambitious. Just looking for a tall forward. Chip gave it away, maybe confused by the blue. Ray to Boyd, snaps down towards full forward. Cox goes back and takes the mark.
So Cox to Embley, uses a run of Braun. Just to backtrack for a moment, that's okay. To Hunter, to Waters, to Kerr, who might get it back from Braun. He's brilliant, Kerr, isn't he? Hunter to Waters, unloads, just blind kick. Now Hargrave and Everett to take Hanson on. Everett did well. He's impressive, Everett. Hargrave low to Harris. Now he's got a lot inboard, and that's where he goes. Darcy to release quickly. Can the Dogs do something here? They've got the runner with it. He can carry the ball, McMahon. A third bounce.
Loves this situation. The finish now is so important. Eventually Judd came to him, and the finish lamentable. Lacroix back to Judd. Past the would-be tackler, Cox. This is Waters alongside the centre circles, fires one in. And if you don't mind, in the hands by Lynch, who 3 years ago wouldn't have attempted that. Lays it off, Kerr to space, Rowan Jones labouring to get to it, does well. Cox had to reach, heard the voice back to Waters, to Kerr. Kerr 70 metres out, threads the needle. Half volley, the umpire in perfect position. Cooney on top of Selwood.
Off the ground, off the ground.
Umpire McBurney will bounce it.
Side on view.
Close, eh? Gee, Jordan McMahon, a kick in a moment ago to Lynch, and that handball.
They've just lost their poise.
Had to find a target. Eagleton's little kick. Ray went to ground. Braun high tackle. Free kick.
Right, there you go. Hey, that play on, you got play on.
Well, I'm not sure why he played on there, but he did. Cousins to get it back. He's so good at riding the tackle like Kerr. They can take them on. Back First gamer here in Schofield to the pocket, so his first touch, he'll be happy. Hargrave, well done, runs off Hanson. And then Hargrave inboard. Johnson trying to get busy. Ray, important here. Needs to show some poise. Takes the bounce, looks up, left foot to space. Harbrow to run on to it, or rather Jan Siracusa, and he's run over the line by Hearn.
There wasn't a lot to go to. Johnson is pushed right up the ground. He gained possession of the ball, but Glass decided not to go all the way with him, and then he just drifted back again and made it difficult for the Western Bulldogs to make a lead into space.
Boundary throw in at 60 metres out, and now free kick is going to Darcy against Cox. Darcy's been okay. Centering kick, well, intended for Jan Siracusa, chopped off by Hunter, gave it to Cox. Rowan Jones, now Hearn, who is a long kick, decides to hand pass. Hanson goes to half forward Lynch. It's getting a bit easy for the West Coast Eagles now. On the lead, Lacroix turned his man around. Well, could have almost been a free kick to Lacroix. Well done, Power, as it turned out. Harris to Ray. Just wants to give it off. He could have carried the ball there. Higgins. Ackermanis. That's better to the outer side. Now a chance. White meters in the clear. Needs to be precise. Hunter, well, he flirted with the idea of going.
Their disposal's been terrible in this second quarter.
Cousins chips to the outer side, and Lynch getting a lot of it. Hugs the boundary. Rowan Jones going back. Harris, well, the last thing he could do was give away a free, and that's a pretty tough call.
Rowan Jones, the recipient.
They're shuffling back the Western Bulldogs to get extra numbers behind the ball, but when they do break, they've got nowhere to go in their own forward line.
Just a high ball. Staker's a good mark, but he was pushed under it by Harris.
Best in the competition of contested marks, Harris.
Averages 3 a match, which doesn't sound a lot, but it's a very high number. Whoops. So Hill's short one to Higgins. So many youngsters out there for the Doggies tonight. Quick learning curve, isn't it? Hargrave gets it from Eagleton to Ackermanis. Johnson, good kick, good mark. Glass makes him earn it, doesn't he?
She's got good closing speed, hasn't he, Glass?
Well, we've got 2 All-Australians on one another from last year. Skipper, who I thought his first 10 minutes was just terrific. Darcy, good stretch.
That's smart.
You'd just love him, Tim, to be 10 metres closer to goal, wouldn't you? He's
outside his range here, so they're still 2 kicks from goal.
Eagleton's close. Now, does he run around? So Darcy is the leading goal kicker of the club. One stage. Eagleton does run around. 52 metres out. Keeps it low. Good kick.
Good call too, Bruce. He was outside his range, Darcy. He knew it. He was just waiting and hoping that something would eventuate. And in the end, it was Eagleton who just got himself into the right position. Staker had his head in his hands after Eagleton kicked this ball because he knew that he should have been the player responsible for making sure that that handball didn't go. There's Staker right behind Eagleton. Hasn't moved. Now he goes to move and he's realised that it's too late.
Dogs first score of the term, Ricky Olorenshaw.
Yeah, just on Wade Skipper and Luke Darcy, they actually rotate off the bench in the first quarter, but the Bulldogs have made a change, having both players now out there. We've got Skipper in the ruck and Darcy up forward, just give him a big target to hopefully take a mark.
Margin 20 points. Cox won it down, stolen by Boyd. Almost the mark, it's paid. It'll come back to Johnson, and you heard the umpire say no advantage from a mark, so he paid the mark. Higgins pleading for the ball.
He's right on his distance.
Right. Yeah.
He's right on his distance here too, Dennis.
So Brad Johnson, 60 metres out, goes looking for the leading Jan Siracusa down there, coming across his path. In fact, it was Hill, the first gamer. Higgins has got it now. Got it from Eagleton, but the kick is offline. Bad luck for the youngster playing his first game, Hill. Almost the mark. Just spilt it on impact.
It was good play. Good play by the Eagles defence, just to come off his man and just fill that hole.
There's Waters who kicks in now. We've got a whistle. And it's going to be a free kick, and it will go to Ben Cousins. And every stoppage in play when Cousins gets the footy makes him a target. To this crowd at least, he's like Michael Rasmussen without the Melbourne Star.
In the yellow jacket. Jones, that's Rowan. Just an awkward handball. Stenglein had to wait. And Brittis was able to get there first to Kerr. Gets inside 50. Goes to the pocket. Lynch almost.
Kerr's had 19 disposals already, 5 inside 50. So he's white hot at the moment, Kerr.
Them end of match figures almost, aren't they?
Impressive.
We're halfway through the second quarter. Cox lays it down. Skipper doing well. First game for the season. That's a very, very risky kick. Higgins, Williams, Eagleton, John Siracusa. They just worried them out of it in the end. And then Cousins goes for goal. Staker kicks it. Pressure.
That was brilliant pressure then by the Eagles forwards. They just made sure the ball stayed in the forward line. They locked down the Western Bulldogs. They couldn't move the ball quickly enough by hand to get it out of the immediate area. They were always in trouble there as the Eagles converged on them. At one stage it was 5-2, and that's Staker's second goal. I really like this bloke. I reckon he's teased us a little bit over the years, but there are some signs in that game last week against the Sydney Swans that he's actually starting to really blossom as a player.
Ricky Olorenshaw down on the boundary.
I'm just putting my coach's hat on for a moment. Adam Cooney's actually sitting on the bench at the moment. Adam Selwood is cut him out of the game. He's only had the 7 possessions. I reckon we put the challenge to Adam Cooney, put him straight to Kerr.
Interesting situation down there on the boundary. What with one thing and another. Scramble. John Siracusa being tackled by Boyd and Brittis.
Interesting battle going on in the coach's box at the moment too. Rodney Eade continues to put players behind the ball. That bounce up, they had 8 defenders in. John Worsfold sending players to those players. So there's no one free at any part of the ground.
Cox the backhander. Well done, Schofield. Rowan Jones, here he is. Judd, 55 metres out, kicks the goal. Vintage Judd.
Well, he may be below his absolute best, but on that evidence, he's not that far below his best. Just watch the stoppage here. There's actually no one on Chris Judd here. No one playing on his hip at that stoppage. And that's remarkable when you consider that he was actually forward of the contest then. He just came back onto the ground. They hadn't got their matchups right, and that is what happens when you don't get to him.
The champ gets his first big margin so far in the match, out to 31 points. Eagles in control. Skipper, Boyd, terrific in the clearances tonight again. Was Johnson being held on to? Jones, well done, Braun. Uses a bit of Braun and gets through. Seaby. Peter's got the bad bounce. Braun was onto it. They really have got a taste for it, haven't they? Jones, Lacroix, yes! Exciting stuff.
What a mark.
Braun started it, didn't he?
What a mark, though, on the stretch, under real pressure there from McMahon.
He's pretty good in the air himself, McMahon. He's a talent, isn't he, Lacroix? Just 20 years of age, 17 goals in his 11 matches so far this year.
Had 11 shots at goal in the last 3 weeks too, so he gets plenty of the ball inside 50.
Kicked to behind so far tonight. That looks pretty good. Very, very good. They're on a roll now.
It's easier said than done, but you just have to stop the supply. The way that they ran and overlapped, and Braun started it with the first handball to Seaby. They looked like they got themselves in trouble, but Braun followed it up again. And then the running from deep in defence. And there's not much more that McMahon could have done in that circumstance. He was right on his man. The ball went to Lacroix's favourite side.
Lovely kick. 61 plays 24.
West Coast Eagles 77 handball receives. They average 180 handballs. That's where they get on top.
Judd, after a wonderful knock from Cox, spills wide, taken by Johnson, goes for distance with the spiral. Inside the forward 50, some hanging on. In the first game, Attila will get the free kick.
Back here, Chiggy, Chiggy. Go, 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 go. As he's coming forward, take him by the back of the jumper.
I just wonder why. The ball's out in front where you want it as the defender. You got support flooding back. Just so much of it goes on in footy today. It wasn't something that was part and parcel of the game, well, as recently as a decade ago. So much hanging on. Tiller. Good luck to him. Stephen Tiller has kicked his first goal.
And this is why he got a game tonight.
Because I know Tiller, if he's earned his spot in the last 5 or 6 weeks, I mean, he's come from the clouds. And
you talk about point of difference. I think he gives a point of difference to Tiller because he's so quick on the lead.
if he started in the pocket,
Yeah, I had him started.
they don't know anything about him.
No.
And he's out in the square like that. Who knows what can happen?
And that's what can happen.
Isn't that great?
That is great. A great understanding of why they played him and his strengths as well. He's got really good speed. He's had some terrible groin problems over the last couple of years, drafted in 2004.
So Tiller gets his first goal, and he does repay the faith with a little one in the second term. CB gone, I think. Gee, had a long time. Kerr crashing through. Just stands up in the tackle. But CB and Kerr both had the footy for seemingly an endless time, and so did Pritters. And now Cooney. Well done. They need a couple of more goals before half-time.
Smart.
It was a good switch-up, wasn't it? Boyd's been terrific. Not a great handball. Higgins to Skipper. Skipper to Harris. Harris, not a good kick. It was difficult for Johnson. Chick. He knew they were coming at him. He didn't care about that. Lynch down deep. Priddis, well done. Kerr to Jones, providing run to Embley. It's an impressive West Coast unit at the moment. Embley has to stop and prop, and Priddis goes back, and Kerr yet another disposal.
Embley, nicely done. Jones across the ground. They had to work hard. Now Chick opens things up. Comes to Rowan Jones. Rowan Jones, left centre wing, looks inside the forward 50. Judd, body on body. What a terrific mark. Jones's kick favoured that side slightly, but Judd created room, and Morris played it so well. There was no more the defender could have done. He was there step for step. This will test Judd now. From 50 metres, it's falling away, and he misses to the near side.
That was a brilliant bit of work there by Judd. Just watch this. There's not much more Morris could have done. He just protected the ball drop with his strong body and then able to gather it in 1, 2, 3, 4 grabs at it. They've had 97 handballs, the West Coast Eagles. They're on pace for about 200, maybe more in this game.
What's their average?
Their average is 180, but what they do is, and we saw a moment ago, they just keep the ball alive until they can find some player in space, and then they're away setting the ball up in defence.
We saw that stat earlier in the quarter two, the kicks that are going backwards, and that one going backwards, and Lacroix chopping it off, and then from 50 metres to full forward, Staker! Well, Harris is a good mark. We've talked about his contested marks, but Staker had the drop on him.
He's now taken 5 marks inside 50, Staker, tonight. This is the kick. Actually, I thought the kick probably should have gone across ground to Judd, who'd actually moved down to make some space forward of centre half forward, but he decided actually, I think, to kick the ball towards the goal in the end.
So Staker close in, and for the 3rd time this year he kicks 3 in a match.
That's a really great sign, Bruce, for the West Coast Eagles, because if there's a part of their game that I don't still believe they've got correct, it's their forward line setup. And if you look at how many goals they're averaging this year, they're not in the top rung of the AFL. Their inside 50s have been a little bit below what they were last year as well. But I don't think that they've actually got the right combination in their forward line. I think this bloke's a real wild card for them.
So the boy from West Broken Hill breaking a few Bulldog hearts with that mark. No easy mark either. Had to step around the man in the square. And they're marking inside 50 and punishing the Western Bulldogs. Simply bigger, taller. The delivery is good. Not a lot of pressure on their midfielders now. Pritis goes after this one. Tied up by Ackermanis. Pritis was the only man who wanted the football. And again, that strength in evidence. Kerr emerges with it this time. Down to half forward. Hansen. Back to Kerr. Goes to the pocket. Lynch, another awkward half volley. Pritis keeps coming, just flips it over the top. Lynch has got it. Could have gone to Lacroix. Pulls it back towards the middle. Plenty of Eagles down there. Hunter, favoured by the bounce, sliding in his CB, tries to knock it out. Judd feeds it back towards the 50. Hearn, prodigious kick normally. This one is long enough, but not straight enough. Bunga can't believe it.
Look at three of their better midfield players this year. Judd's already had 15 touches. Kerr's had 23 touches now. And Braun's had plenty of the ball too. So their key midfield players are getting lots of the ball, the West Coast Eagles.
Hargrave decides to go long. They've had real trouble getting out of the 50. Higgins, the receiver now. The handball to Everett, who had a terrific opening term with 10 disposals. Just so much to like about him as he goes to Ackermanis. Kerr. Well, give him the 3 votes now, I reckon. Been magnificent. Harbrow run down. I think he might get a free.
He was good then, Kerr, wasn't he, on Acker? He looked done.
Yeah.
So Harbrow, centre wing. He's got Boyd running hard. Didn't take the mark. Jan Siracusa went to ground. Boyd. Acker's got it. It's a good kick by Boyd inside. Kicked a goal in the opening term. And did well there, the Dogs. There was no room for error. They were under the pump. And we've said it before, they just need to get every goal from this situation. These 50-50 shots. Ackermanis kicking from about 45 metres out, hooking, going for distance and missing. So Acker with 3 shots for goal, 1 goal 2. He's missed the 2 longish ones, and Hearn quickly to bring it back in, and Cousins off the bench to take it.
Gets there in time. Steps Johnson, who was slightly overcommitted. Hunter to Selwood, forward of the wing. Selwood back to Hunter. Selwood offers the Shepherd, was awarded a free kick for being held. Advantages paid. Rowan Jones, sloppy kick, but sometimes it pays to know that your teammates are the best kicks in the world. Judd takes the mark, goes over the top to Pritis, and what a clever kick. It led him back to the ball. The spot over the man who was short wasn't ideal. It meant that Pritis would have to come to the man in front, so Judd demanded something of Pritis and sent him back towards the square. Watch this. That is so pretty. Pritis pops it through.
They're really being out-muscled now, the Western Bulldogs, all over the ground. You look at the matchups and they are looking so much bigger and stronger, the West Coast Eagles. Here's the smart bloke, though, Chris Judd. Just clever the way he watched the ball in the first place to take the mark out in front of Morris. And then, as Dennis described so beautifully, just kicked the ball ever so elegantly to the space out in front of Pritis.
So Johnson then in the midfield. Percentage slipping away here. They're 56 points behind Geelong at half-time last week. 44 so far tonight. This is West Coast's biggest first half on the scoreboard for the season. Boyd, yet another clearance. Hearn up very high. Selwood and Eagleton. Back to Chick. Well done. They were able to get it forward. Pritis was good. Cousins pushing forward and then working the footy, and then just through force getting it to Hansen, who against the tide, there's a blue on, Cousins involved. Selwood in, Seaby to fall forward. Cousins up, he's okay. And his team is going very well. So here's the blue. Tiller in his first match, with Cousins in his second match for this year. Hansen quickly in. All sweet. So Tiller unhappy about all of that. And that happened to Hansen earlier tonight. So at halftime, 75-31, the Eagles over the Bulldogs. This is Friday Night Football.